Hello friends, part 2 of Are These the Top Stocks to Buy? Big question mark. As always, we're going to take a look at Netflix, Tesla, MRVL, AMD, NVDA. We're going to do some technical analysis and some price action analysis as well. If you're interested in learning more about how this all works, you're interested in charts, you're obsessed with charts like we are, check out Chart Guys. If you have questions about any of this stuff, feel free to ask a question in the comments and I will do my best to answer. Let's start with Netflix. Netflix on the daily time frame seems to be just going a little bit all over the place. We get ourselves a nice breakout, which should be a nice continuation into a bull flag, but we seem to just fade out a little bit. So that means we need to focus on the short term. On the daily time frame, we have resistances up here. A little ways away to worry about them now would be a little bit ahead of the game. 557.39, and below that, we have some more relevant resistance at 529.55 in the daily time frame. What I'm really interested in is the 4 hour. We can see that we had a nice hourly range up here. We saw a breakout, a quick fade. We still held our 4 hour higher lows. Right now, that 4 hour support is at 501.72, and we can see that coming into play again early this morning with our wick down to the support at 501.70. So a 2-cent spread, good enough to be double bottom for me. But what I don't like is the range between our high and our low that has me looking for a lower high at this point. If we go to the hourly time frame, this is going to look a little bit better. We see that we had what should have been a magnificent bull flag. We saw a drop, a bounce, a lower high, a lower low. Now what we're going to look for is a lower high underneath this little guy here at 526.37. That would fit the bill for a 4 hour equilibrium, and that is a likely scenario based on the high and low range here, and that would allow these bulls to cool off a little bit more in the 4 hour time frame. Daily time frame is just fine, and on the hourly we're looking okay as well. 15-minute time frame is where the current action is. On the daily, we see our low, our double bottom support, our open higher, there's our wick for the third touch, 15-minute higher lows, higher highs. So what we're going to do is look for some weakness under 526.37. If we see that, the EQ is likely to follow through. If we see a break over 526.37, that means the market is just really happy with this daily higher low, and we're going to look for resistance at 557.39, and things will be looking up at that point. If we break bear, we always got to play all scenarios, right? We don't want to lean too far bullish. If we lose 501.72, then that will be a 4 hour lower high and lower low, and likely we would be, actually, I would say we'd be looking for a test of the 46.53 range. We would look for probably a lower high somewhere around there, and eventually a support test. Tesla, on the daily time frame, we've been talking about this daily tightening range. Finally, we see some bearish action on Friday's candlestick. This is what should have been a shooting star candlestick. Normally, these are going to be at the top of your uptrend, and what that does is it shows that that push by the bulls, and this is what the price action looks like. We have our open, we see a push by the bulls, and it should be a really confident day, but they get hammered right back down and actually close low. So that's how we end up with this big body on the bottom of our candlestick with a big wick. Normally, like I said, this is going to be a bearish reversal candlestick at the top of a trend. However, we see it after our high. What that tells me is there is considerable downside momentum, and then I'd be looking for a way to explain this doji on the daily, this indecision candlestick, as a bit of a bounce. So that's what we're going to look for. We're going to see if this is a bounce from our low. Does it fit the bill for a continuing downtrend? If that's the case, then we're just going to be looking for a higher low over 351.30 and a continuation of this tightening range. So let's investigate that. I'm going to start on the hourly time frame. So on the hourly, there's our big drop. We're hourly oversold. We bounce up. We see a lower high and a lower low. So are we convinced that this is going to be an hourly downtrend? Quite yet. Well, we're still in the decision-making point. We have an hourly higher low here, but we see that we got a pretty solid rejection from the high up here as well. So what I would look for at this point, because I'm leaning bearish on the daily because of this daily tightening range, and we have an indecision candlestick today, what I would lean for would be a break of that 416.12. If we see that happen tomorrow in our pre-market session, then we are just likely looking for a 4 hour lower high here. So there's our low, lower high, tightening range under 439.13. Then I'd be looking for downside and daily downside continuation to follow. MRVL. So this one was a lot of fun. We talked about it last week. We had this nice little range, and early on today, bulls decided to just blow it all smithereens. We opened in the 40-44 area. We saw a little bit of a back test. Maybe it looks better on the 15 there. There's that chop. A lower open, and bulls just pushed right through our resistances. 40.73 wasn't even going to slow us down. And then we had a little congestion up here in the 41.34 range. Back to EMA 12, 15-minute uptrend, and things are looking good so far. So we look at the daily, we say, that looks fantastic. What are our odds for upside continuation? What are we going to do for here? On the 4-hour, this is where we start to look for 4-hour higher lows. So here's our high, low, high, low. These are higher highs. Now we've got a magnificently beautiful higher high dipping into RSI over bot territory. If we go to the 15-minute time frame, the question is, what can explain us coming down to test a higher low over 39.25? We always know that the market has an innate desire to reach its mean universal price. So when we break out, we expect not eternal upside, we expect consolidation, and we're going to look for signs of that consolidation to start taking place. If we go to the 15-minute time frame on MRVL, I can see a couple of things right away. First, I see the fact that we have higher highs on our 15-minute time frame, but we have lower lows on our RSI, so that is going to be bearish divergence. And if I go to draw in a little bit of a friendly pattern, and I love these patterns, and if you are in chart guys, you know all about the wedge goggles. We're always on the hunt for these tightening ranges. What this tells me is that we have a 15-minute descending wedge, which is a bearish pattern. Usually these break bear, and you see the price going down in an area where we have 4-hour overbought. So we're looking for 4-hour consolidation. Anything over 39.25 is going to give us a 4-hour higher low. So the fact that we are overbought on the 4-hour time frame, we have this bearish pattern setting up, and we're close to, well, we do need to see some daily consolidation as well after a big breakout day like this. A minor correction on the 15-minute time frame, even if we stay above 40.85, this area here on the daily time frame. Oh, we can't see that, can we? On the 4-hour, where's that tricky line? Let's make sure that we can see that on the time frames that we need to see it on. Visibility is going to be on, it should show up. You know what? Maybe she's just not big enough. Let's go like that. Daily time frame, there she is. So we can open high right here, come down, set a higher low. That's going to be a nice bear break of that wedge. It's going to give us a 4-hour higher low. It's going to give us a daily basis support, and then we see continuation at that point. That's what I would look for. So short term, a very, very short term bearish, but a good buying opportunity so far, setting up an MRVL. AMD on the daily time frame. This one is a nice green day, almost a Maribuzo close, just the smallest little wick up here. So we're going to look for trend development. Clearly we have a 4-hour trend down, probably 4-hour trend up. I don't like the fact that we lost this hourly basis support, but you know what? Bulls said we don't care. We're going to resume. Hourly time frame, here's a nice trend here. We open below it. I suspect, and I'm wondering if we have created a parallel channel. So what sometimes can happen, this is not necessarily going to happen, but I'm going to try and explain anyway. We can get an area where we get a channel, the price bounces around. We see a breakdown, and then we see a resumption of a trend. And we sort of develop these parallel channels that we can enter and re-enter. And if we retake a support, it'll just stay inside that action. So one thing we can try to do, let's see if it works out. Probably won't, but let's have some fun with it. Let's try this guy. So I'm taking the tops of my greens. Not particularly enthused about this particular range. Maybe my supports will work better. So what I'll do is I'll shift to the bottoms of my reds. I'll see if this correlates better. And you know what? I like that a lot better than my resistance. So then I will draw a parallel line, smoke it right there. Now the question is, we come down, we back test that, we come down again. Now what I wanted to figure out is, are we bucking up against that former support as a new resistance? And I would still keep an eye on this going into tomorrow. Not going to pay a lot of attention to it. Just a fun little educational thing, I guess, for now. 4-hour time frame, 4-hour higher lows definitely set. Bulls have proven that. Normally, I would look for a lower high underneath today's, or I should say the high of 85.25, but the Bulls just blew it out of the water. So we've got to give them that support. $81 on the 15-minute time frame. We are seeing some negative divergence, so bearish divergence as well on the 15-minute time frame. We don't have the same sort of bearish setup. We do have a little bit of a tightening range here, but what I would watch for would be, I'd love to see a quick test of that resistance. That would just be too good. And then a loss of 15-minute higher lows into hourly and 4-hour consolidation. Because 4-hour consolidation, like I said, hasn't really taken place since 81. We hit new higher highs. We're in a good place for 4-hour consolidation. Let's see if the AMD chart gods want to give me that. And if it works out, I'll be quite impressed with the sheer luck of drawing that pattern in. That's what I look for on AMD so far. NVDA daily time frame tracking more or less to the market, not really that exciting. A little bit of a daily range has opened up here, a very, very strong close, but the question is how far the bull is going to carry it. So on the 4-hour time frame, we will go and look for our levels. Now we had a nice hourly trend here. We lost that. We set a quick wick with a lower high. Now, because of the range, I'm going to be looking for a lower high under 554.84, 554.87. Hopefully, we can develop into an EQ. So there's that lower high. And this chart is oddly reminiscent of another one that I looked at perhaps in the last video. But 520 is our basis support. We have a quick dip down here with the hourly higher low, and then we're getting into a tightening range in the area of this resistance that we see cropping up from the afternoon of October 1st. Here we can see 545.94 is our key area of resistance as well, so there is some congestion at this point. And if we go to the 5-minute time frame, we can see that we actually, maybe it looks better on the 15, a little bit of a wedge as well. So an overall tightening range, and we will draw it in like so and look for that support. Not nearly as tight as our last candlestick. Sometimes we can go to the 5. But you know what? That correlates pretty well on both. So what I would look for based on what I can see here is if we open below, look for a bear break of this wedge, come back test it into downside on the hourly time frame, looking for that higher low, lower high situation to develop. Anyway, that's my read on these tickers. I absolutely love chart analysis. If you want to learn more, check out chartguys.com. If you have questions, please feel free to post a question in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. And if this video is useful, please do like, subscribe to our channel. It does help us tremendously with the old YouTube algorithm. And talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much.